All right, so hello and welcome to Fanshawe College's virtual open house. My name is Ina and I work in the International Center at Fanshawe College. And I will be your host for today's session. But before we begin today's session, I would like to review a few housekeeping items. Jackie, can you go to the next slide, please? All right, so just a few instructions for our session for today. So webcams and microphones will be turned off for the whole duration of the session. Please use the questions feature to ask questions for our moderators and also to our presenter. And we'll also do our best to cover all of your questions for today. If you have questions about topics such as application and many other things, please check out our other sessions or email us at myfuture@fanshawe.ca. But if you are an international student, it's international@fanshawe.ca. I will also type it in the chat box later on. And of course, please sit back and enjoy the session. Next slide, please. All right, so now I'd like to introduce you to Jackie, who will be speaking about corporate communication and public relations at Fanshawe College. I will be back again for the live Q&A, and I'm going to pass now it over to Jackie. So you can see her now, Jackie.
Okay, thank you, Ina, and welcome everyone. Welcome to Fanshawe College and welcome to this virtual open house and featuring the Public Relations Corporate Communications Graduate Certificate Program. I just wanted to start off with a little definition of public relations because I think it's important that you know what you're getting into. It's not necessarily always a well-studied discipline around the world, but it is gaining more and more attention. So public relations is about the strategic management of relationships between an organization and its diverse publics through the use of communication to achieve mutual understanding, realize organizational goals, and serve the public interest. And that definition is according to the Canadian Public Relations Society of Canada. And you may well have your own public relations society in your own country. There's also the International Association of Corporate Communicators, of Business Communicators, sorry, IABC. So really what our program is about is how to build relationships with organizations, between organizations and their publics. And that means presentations, that means through social media, that means through branding and awareness campaigns, but communication is always at the heart of what we do. Sometimes there's a bit of confusion between marketing and advertising and public relations. And while the lines are definitely, excuse me, being blurred all the time, and they do often work hand in hand, there are some key differences. So marketing and advertising, you're talking about paid media, you're marketing a product and you're dealing with customers, and really you're measured by your sales and by your return on investment. And public relations is about earned media. So it's about doing things that the media wants to write about. It's about managing reputation and image. And instead of customers, you're dealing with all sorts of different publics. And it's instead of measurement by sales and ROI, we measure based on relationship management. So those are some key differences between marketing and public relations, but they do work well together and certainly work together in the industry. So what's involved in public relations? What sorts of things would you study or do we look at, and what can you do with a graduate certificate in public relations? Well, we look after internal and external communications, media relations, social media management, and corporate social responsibility. Public relations departments or people working in PR often are involved in community relations as well as investor relations. Oops, sorry. And as I said before, reputation and brand management, so that image management also falls under the PR umbrella, as does certain special events, crisis communication, public affairs and government relations, healthcare, and sports and entertainment. So these are all different things that you'd be studying within our program. I'd like us to take a look at the first term courses. And again, it gives you a sense of what you would be studying and where a PR graduate certificate can take you. So strategic public relations forms the foundation of PR, what it is. We talk about history, strategy, and how to build a communications plan. Other courses include writing for public relations, professional presentation skills. Again, it's about communicating and building relationships with individuals or organizations. But we also have several courses in the more artistic side in terms of the program. So design principles in digital media, you learn Adobe InDesign and some Photoshop. Professional practice and ethics is again about how to communicate effectively, build those relationships, especially in the interview aspect and your field placement aspect, but also how to be ethical and what ethical public relations means. Trends in technology and public relations, digital marketing and web design, and visual communication design. These are a bit more technical for sure, and you're looking at learning how to read analytics and how to react to those analytics and maybe change your strategy based on what you're finding out. Also, how to use other features of the Adobe Creative Suite, including Adobe Photoshop and the video and editing aspect of Adobe. So Lightroom, and I'm drawing a blank on the other program. Adobe Premiere, that's it. And visual communication and design is you learn a bit about photography as well. So you have a lot of different things that can go into your professional portfolio, which is also really important, and that you will build in the second term of our program. Speaking of second term, so you have 6 courses during your, so 8 courses in the first term, 6 courses in the second term, but you're also doing your field placement. So that is an experience plus it's a course. So we continue on with the writing courses, with the design courses. We look at specializations in PR, where that's really where we delve into areas of specialty like community relations and investor relations. There's a course called Media Relations and Crisis Communication. So again, building in these areas of specialty. But you also have a 224-hour field placement that you complete during the second semester. So you have courses on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then you're at a placement Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, working for perhaps it's a small business or a large company, a nonprofit, an agency. There are lots of different field placements that you would have options to explore. So like I said, the field placement is 224 hours, takes place in your second semester. Opportunities are posted. So right now, we've had a lot of opportunities to do virtual field placements, and a lot of companies, because they are working virtually, that's not a problem at all. So again, if you're studying this program from your home country, we could explore virtual placements there or virtual placements here in Canada. It is definitely the way of the future, and so it really helps you build those skills as well. And I, as program coordinator, work closely with all of the students to help them find a field placement. The last bullet says you can also find your own. That is possible too, but it is subject to approval. So if you have a company or organization that you would like to work with and you've established that relationship, I just need to know what you would be doing there, making sure that you would get the full experience of an actual public relations and communications field placement. Online learning is something that Fanshawe has spent a lot of effort and resources refining over the past 8 or 9 months. And so this program is completely online. We moved from completely face-to-face to completely online. And it is definitely, again, something that the future, it's going to be the way of the future. And it is also preparing you for working virtually as well. So it would be a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. There would be some times where you would have to present or perhaps record your presentation and then upload that to your professor. But your professors are all working here in Canada, mostly in London, Ontario. We have decided that we record all the classes in post. So if you can't attend a session, you wouldn't necessarily miss out because you would be able to review that on your own. Or even if you do attend, sometimes if the material is more complex, then you can also review it on your own. Our faculty also have office hours, and so you would be able to set up a time to meet with them if you have some particular questions. And so again, this is really a nice thing about the virtual learning environment is your faculty are more accessible to you because of this ability to just set up a quick meeting via Zoom and have a face-to-face interaction with them. We bring in a lot of guest speakers, which is nice. So you're hearing from professionals working in the industry. And where possible, you work on team projects and community projects. So you're getting, again, wherever possible, that real life experience working for a real organization. Obviously, you want to know what people are working in, where are they working, if they have a graduate certificate in public relations and corporate communications from Fanshawe. And our grads are working around the world in all sorts of different sectors. So they're working in education for digital agencies and nonprofits, major corporations. They work in the arts and entertainment industry, healthcare, government, and sports. And I realize that these are a lot of the domestic jobs, and you might not recognize all of these, but some of the companies you may, like 3M or United Way. But the idea is that no matter the sector, there are jobs in communications and public relations, just because it is such an important role within an organization to be able to effectively communicate and to develop and maintain the reputation of a particular brand. Here are a couple of examples of our graduates, and what I want you to see here is the idea of the different job titles that they have and also where they are working. So public relations supervisor or senior account manager, customer relations management marketing officer. So there are all sorts of roles that are available to you, not just strictly under the public relations umbrella, but also under marketing, because we have introduced more and more concepts of marketing into our program because that's what the industry needs. And that's really important for you to know as well, is that we have a program advisory committee where we have experts who are working in the industry, and we meet with them on a yearly basis, and we talk about our curriculum and our projects, and they give us feedback in terms of how the industry is changing and how we should change our program to meet those needs. And I think that's really important, is that we're very responsive to what the industry professionals say that we need to be teaching. Again, here are some other alumni from our program. So working for a communications company like Veritas Communications, for a major corporation like Canada Life. Make-A-Wish is a national nonprofit here in Canada. There's McFarland Rowlands, which is an insurance company. So again, trying to show that no matter the industry, there are people working in PR and communications and marketing. And this really is a growing industry, certainly across North America. The other important thing I want you to know is that grads get jobs, even in a pandemic. So these, the names listed on the left there are students who graduated this past April and August, and they have jobs. But the other thing that's important for you to know is they don't necessarily get a job with their field placement. So sometimes I think students put a lot of pressure on the field placement, that's where they need a really good field placement because that's where they'll get the job. And that's not necessarily true. Our organizations participate in the field placement program simply because they want to give back and they want to help a student get that important industry experience, but they don't necessarily have the capacity to hire them on. So there's only one person, Josh, who actually was hired on full-time after his field placement ended. But that doesn't mean that you won't get a job. So you can see here that we still have people working but just for different companies and organizations. It's because of the skills that they learned that they were able to find a job. So sometimes I think it's important to talk about what characteristics or traits you should have to be successful in PR and in the PR program, because we really do, if you think of the industry as fast-paced and busy and demanding, that's what our program is as well. So some of these are a bit in jest and fun. So 10 signs you should work in PR. The first one is you start every morning with a cup of coffee. So we joke about how people don't start our program at being coffee addicts, but they certainly end it that way. But it's just the idea of energy and needing to be sharp and on point. Another sign is you're constantly up to date on current events and trends. We talk about current events, what's going on globally and locally. We talk about major headlines and how that relates to PR. We ask students how they would handle it. So there's never any moment that there's nothing that we can talk about, certainly, especially during political elections and a global pandemic. There's always examples of companies doing a great job and companies that aren't. And so it's important that you're up to date and engaged and you like to know what's going on in the world, because that's really important as a communicator. You're always on the go, you have a passion for writing, and you're an avid list maker. So again, that idea of it's a high energy field, writing is essential. That skill is really important. And the idea of being an avid list maker, it reflects the importance of being organized, knowing what's due when, knowing what's going on, because with our courses, in your first semester, you have 8 courses. So you may have 8 projects due in 1 week. So you have to really stay on top of things and be organized. It is definitely a demanding program, but it's a fun program and certainly worthwhile. So some more signs that you should work in PR. You're connected to social media practically 24/7. So it is definitely an area of public relations and communications that's developing. And we look at that, we study it, we analyze it, and we look at best practices and how to have a really good online presence. You value relationships with others is another important trait. And again, PR is all about relationships. And in this program, it's about relationships with your classmates, relationships with your professors, and then learning about how to build relationships with with potential publics if you're working in a particular sector. You consider yourself a very trustworthy person, you're a team player, and you're not afraid to push the envelope. So again, creativity is really important. Being able to act ethically is essential. Being able to advise people and senior leaders on particular issues is something that you will be doing in your career. So we want you to explore critical thinking concepts and how to pitch ideas and how to guide a conversation. It's said that the public relations people are the conscience of an organization, and we do focus heavily on ethics, and we make sure that we train you to be an ethical public relations practitioner and communicator. And these are all things that we explore in our program and that you get to fulfill, I guess, in your field placement. So why choose Fanshawe's program? I know that there are a lot of PR programs out there, and here's what's special, I think, about ours. So we do have small class sizes. Usually they're capped at 34 students. Our grads, as you saw, they do get jobs. There are 2 full-time faculty members who teach in the program, and the rest of the faculty are professionals who are working in the industry. So they bring their industry problems and projects and ideas to the classroom, which is really great. So you're learning from people who are in the field. We do have one of the longest field placements in Ontario. I think it's the 3rd out of 14 in terms of length at 224 hours. And again, where possible, we have community-based projects. There is a mentoring program, and I believe it still has gone on digitally, so that's great news. you would be joining well over 1,000 graduates from our program. And so you have this rich alumni that you would, Fanshawe has over 100,000 graduates globally, and we have over 1,000 graduates working globally as well. There are certain awards and bursaries. You would get an IABC membership, and this is transferable to a local chapter of the International Association of Business Communicators. And you graduate with a professional portfolio that you can use in your job search. The other thing that I think hopefully you noticed when I was talking about the courses is that there really is a blend between the strategy and the writing skills and the more technical skills in terms of graphic design and video editing. So I believe in graduating people who are generalists, and then you can choose to focus on something later on by taking continuing education courses and upgrading. But the field is so diverse and the demands are so diverse that our program reflects that in terms of the diversity of the learning and learning opportunities. The other thing that is great about our program is that I have some program ambassadors. So this is Chantel, Ashford, and Kelsey, and they graduated 2 years ago now. They're all working in the field, and they loved the program so much, they have volunteered to be program ambassadors. So if you connect with me, if you want to talk to someone who's been through the program, who's working in the fields, then I can connect you with one of these three, and they'll talk to you about their experience, what they're doing now, suggestions about how to approach the program, etc. So I'm really proud to have these program ambassadors to help me promote the program, but also to help you make the right decision. So I wonder if there are any questions.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Jackie, for that very insightful presentation. And I hope our attendees here as well got a lot of useful information so that they can apply to the corporate communications program in Fanshawe College. So we're now going to move on to the live Q&A. So I believe we have several questions that are posted already in the questions tab. If you want to ask a question, please submit it with the questions feature. Just type it there and we'll have it on queue as well. We'll try to cover all of your questions, but right now we also have queued questions. Such as first question would be, since a lot of our attendees right now would like to apply for the program, if ever their field or their education back in their home country is not related to public relations, would that be a problem for them to be admitted in the program, Jackie?
No, that's not a problem. We have graduates who have a very diverse undergraduate education. So some have had English and sociology degrees. They've had business management or marketing. We've had students with an environmental background. So your undergraduate doesn't matter in terms of public relations, and there's no expectation that you have that understanding or training in PR. We start from the ground up. So that's one of the great things, is that the diverse education of our students is really interesting, and they can bring parts of their learning and their experience into the program and share that with others. So it's not a problem at all.
Yes, so I think that's one good news to all of our attendees here. And what we also require a supplemental document for the application. Can you elaborate on that one?
Certainly. So it's really important, again, as international students, you're making a significant investment by continuing education in Canada, and it's expensive, and we want to make sure that you are set up to succeed, and especially because sometimes it's a different style of writing, or English is your second language. So we have a supplemental that requires you to submit a resume, a statement of intent, and writing samples. And that's simply so that we can assess your writing level Our writing courses require you to have at least a 60 to pass. For the other courses, it's a mark of 50 out of 100 to pass, but the writing is 60. So we assess the supplemental and the writing samples to make sure that you would get at least that grade in the program. And if you wouldn't, then you wouldn't get into the program, because again, we want to make sure that we're setting you up for success and that you will be able to do well in the program.
Right. Okay. So I'll just like to add on that one. So since you guys are international students, international applicants, when you apply to Fanshawe either on your own or with an agent or their education partners, before you can get a letter of acceptance, aside from the normal documents that you need to submit to us, a supplemental requirement is needed for you to submit as well. So I hope that that was clear to everyone. And Jackie, can you
Oh,
hear me?
now I can, yes.
Correct. Okay, I'd like to repeat the question. So will the full length of the program be done online, or it's just the first semester?
It depends when you're applying. So we have two intakes. We have a January intake, and right now that we know the winter semester will be completely online. No decision has been made yet for the summer semester. And then we have another intake in September. And again, at that point, September 2021, there's no decision. Ideally, obviously, we would like to have you in class, in person on the beautiful Fanshawe College campus, but it depends what goes on globally and what's the best for the health and safety of our students and faculty.
Yes. So for the sake of everyone, for the information of everyone, in terms of the decision and how the programs are being delivered, we're actually deciding it on a per semester basis, because we never know what will happen, what will be the health situation, or what will be the travel restriction by that time. But for sure, if there's any decision made for the delivery of your program, it will be cascaded to you through Fanshawe International. So again, for September 2020, that's last fall, and also for the incoming winter intake, it will be online for the first semester. So that will run from January to April 2021. So in terms of, there's another question about what is a typical schedule like for a week? If you can somehow share with us um, the normal the normal delivery and also the online.
Okay, so we have a whole scheduling department, so they control that. The schedules do change semester to semester, but usually you have 2 courses per day, and Monday to Friday, because there are 8 courses in the first semester. Again, because most of our faculty are working full-time in the industry, you have a lot of courses that are taking place in the evening hours. When it's face-to-face, that's the same thing. They are, again, not a lot of early morning starts, but a lot of evening hours. When it's online completely, we don't expect that you're in class for the 3 hours per course, so online on virtual Zoom meetings for 24 hours, but there is an expectation that you are online for perhaps an hour of that with your instructor, and then they may assign you to be working on different things. But most of the time for synchronous learning, it would be in the late afternoons and evenings, but usually about 2 courses per day.
All right, okay. So we're actually near the end of our session. Before I close, is there anything that you want to say to our attendees, Jackie?
Sure, I would just like to share the next slide. Come on. There we go. So if you do have questions, you can certainly email me. My email address is there. So jwestelicken@fanshawec.ca. And Ina also gave the international email as well that you can ask them, and they may be able to answer it, or they may be able to forward it to me. But you're making a really important decision. But I hope that I gave you the information that you need in terms of your choice at Fanshawe.
All right, thank you so much. So for all of the students who submitted their questions today, we have a copy of your questions and we will try to answer you. And also the recording of the session it will be uploaded on YouTube so that you can run through it any time of the day. So again, thank you, Jackie, for taking your time to speak to us about your program at Fanshawe College. And I hope for everyone to enjoy the rest of our open session. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ina. Thank you, everyone.